Imagine the long, winding river of human history, slow, steady, and almost unchanging for thousands of years. Picture the lives of our ancestors, who lived in harmony with the rhythms of nature, their days dictated by the rising and setting of the sun. For centuries, life barely shifted. A person born in 1000 AD would find 1500 AD familiar. The tools they used, the clothes they wore, and the food they ate remained largely the same. Generations passed down knowledge and traditions, creating a sense of continuity and stability. But then, in the mid-1700s, everything changed. The Industrial Revolution began in Great Britain. This was a period of profound transformation, where innovation and invention took center stage, altering the very fabric of society. It wasn't a revolution of armies, but of fire, iron, and steam, a transformation in how we live, work, and think. Factories sprang up, cities expanded, and the pace of life quickened as machines took over tasks once done by hand. Why Britain? A unique mix of resources, political stability, and global trade set the stage. The country had abundant coal and iron, a strong navy to protect its interests, and a political system that encouraged innovation and entrepreneurship. From this small island, the sparks of industry spread worldwide, reshaping every society. Railways, steamships, and telegraphs connected distant lands, creating a global network of trade and communication. For most of history, our energy came from muscle, animals, wind, and water. These sources were limited and often unreliable, restricting the scale and scope of human activity. The Industrial Revolution unlocked the power of coal, fueling machines that would build cities and connect continents. Steam engines powered factories, trains, and ships, revolutionizing transportation and manufacturing. This was more than new inventions, it was a new mindset. Progress was now possible, even inevitable. People began to believe in the power of human ingenuity to solve problems and improve lives. The world of smartphones and skyscrapers traces directly back to that first industrial spark. The innovations of the past laid the groundwork for the technological marvels we enjoy today. Let's explore how this revolution forever changed the course of humanity. Join us as we delve into the stories of the people, places, and ideas that ignited this transformative era. To truly understand the profound changes brought by the Industrial Revolution, we must first step back and imagine the world as it was before machines transformed it. Life moved at a gentle, unhurried pace, shaped by the rhythms of nature and the limitations of human hands. Most people lived in small, close-knit rural villages where daily existence was ruled by the rising and setting of the sun and the changing of the seasons. The land provided both work and sustenance, and every day was a struggle to coax a living from the soil. News traveled slowly, often by word of mouth or handwritten letter, and your world rarely extended beyond the boundaries of your own village. For most, the outside world was a distant mystery. Work meant farming. Families toiled with ancient tools, fighting nature for survival. Every harvest was uncertain, and a bad season could mean hunger or worse. Nearly everything was handmade, from clothes to tools, often by local artisans whose skills were passed down through generations. Each item was unique, crafted with care and patience. Goods were scarce and expensive, most owned little, and what they did have was treasured and repaired again and again. Simplicity and frugality were a way of life. Life expectancy was short, and disease was a constant threat. Medical knowledge was limited, and even minor illnesses could become deadly. Childbirth was dangerous, and a simple infection could be fatal. Families often lost loved ones to ailments we now consider minor. The pace of life was dictated by muscle, wind, and candlelight. When darkness fell, work slowed or stopped, and evenings were spent in dimly lit rooms. The cottage industry, slow, painstaking, and local, was the norm. Families spun wool, wove cloth, and made goods at home, often working together by the fire. Shopping for pleasure or replacing goods was unheard of. Most people made do with what they had, mending and reusing rather than buying new. The world was quieter but also filled with hard labor and uncertainty. Each day brought its own challenges, and comfort was rare. Into this slow, handcrafted world, the first whispers of mechanization began to stir. New inventions promised to change everything, though few could imagine how. A future of speed and power was on the horizon, ready to sweep away the old ways and usher in a new era of possibility and upheaval. The Industrial Revolution's heart was the shift from handcraft to machine. For centuries, spinning and weaving were slow, skilled arts. Then came inventions like the flying shuttle, spinning jenny and water frame, machines that multiplied output and speed. The flying shuttle let one weaver do the work of two. The spinning jenny spun multiple threads at once. Water-powered frames produced stronger thread, ending the bottleneck. Soon, power looms mechanized weaving, turning a quiet craft into a roaring industry. The cottage industry gave way to factories filled with machines. Human hands were replaced by relentless rhythmic clatter. This leap in production was the first great step of the Industrial Revolution. The world would never be the same. While textiles transformed the world of manufacturing, another revolution was quietly brewing, in the realms of iron and chemistry. These two forces would soon reshape not just industry, but the very fabric of society itself. For centuries, iron had been both scarce and expensive, produced in small quantities using charcoal. This process not only limited supply, but also devastated forests, as vast amounts of wood were burned to fuel the furnaces. The environmental cost was high and iron remained a luxury. Everything changed with Abraham Darby's groundbreaking innovation. By using coke, a purified form of coal instead of charcoal, Darby unlocked a new era. Iron could now be produced in much greater quantities, at a fraction of the cost, and without destroying forests. Iron production soared to unprecedented heights. Suddenly, iron was no longer a rare commodity, but the backbone of the new industrial world, providing the essential framework for factories, bridges, and machines. The construction of the first iron bridge in 1779 at Coalbrookdale became a powerful symbol of this new era, an era built on strength, innovation, and the promise of progress. Iron now formed the skeleton of machines, engines, and railways. It replaced wood as the foundation of progress, enabling the creation of powerful steam engines and the rapid expansion of rail networks that would connect cities and fuel commerce. Meanwhile, chemistry was advancing at a breathtaking pace. New bleaching agents like sulfuric acid and chlorine revolutionized textile production, replacing the slow, months-long process of sun bleaching with rapid chemical treatments that took only hours. This chemical leap dramatically sped up textile finishing, allowing factories to keep pace with the relentless output of power looms and meet the growing demand for affordable, high-quality fabrics. The age of wood and slow, laborious processes was ending. In its place rose an era defined by iron and rapid chemical change, where innovation and efficiency reigned supreme. Material science and chemistry became the true engines of progress, driving invention after invention and opening doors to new possibilities that had once seemed unimaginable. Across cities and countrysides, the world was being rebuilt from the ground up. Iron frameworks rose where wooden beams once stood, and chemical processes transformed raw materials into the building blocks of modern life. The Industrial Revolution, powered by iron and chemicals, was now truly unstoppable, reshaping landscapes, economies, and the future of humanity. If iron was the skeleton, steam was the muscle of the Industrial Revolution. For millennia, power came from muscle, animals, wind, or water, limiting where factories could be built. Early steam engines like Newcomen's pumped water from mines but were inefficient. James Watt's improvements made steam engines far more efficient and versatile. Watt's rotary engine could power any machine, anywhere coal and water were available. Factories were freed from rivers and industry could spread rapidly. Steam engines powered mills, ironworks, and more, driving relentless production. The factory floor now pulsed with the hiss of steam and the spin of flywheels. Steam was the universal power source industry had been waiting for. The age of portable, powerful energy had arrived. The heartbeat of a new world was the rhythm of steam. The revolution accelerated. Machines and steam engines gave birth to the factory, a new kind of workplace. Production moved from scattered cottages to massive buildings filled with machines and workers. The factory system concentrated labor, power, and production under one roof. Work was divided into simple, repetitive tasks, no longer requiring master craftsmen. Workers became easily replaceable, shifting power to factory owners. The workday was long and relentless, dictated by machines and factory clocks. Factories were dangerous, loud, dusty, and filled with hazards. Accidents and disease were common, with little protection for workers. Strict rules and constant supervision replaced the seasonal rhythms of farm life. The factory demanded discipline and year-round labor. Workers lost autonomy, adapting to a new, rigid system. The factory was more than a building, it was a new way of organizing life. Efficiency and output now ruled. The factory's rise sent shockwaves through society. Millions left villages for booming cities like Manchester and Liverpool. Urban life brought new opportunities and new hardships. Industrial capitalists and a growing middle class gained wealth and power. For workers, city life meant crowded slums, poor sanitation, and disease. The gap between rich and poor widened dramatically. The economy shifted to mass production, competition, and profit. Banks and stock exchanges grew to fund industry. National wealth was now measured by industrial output, not gold. The world's economic engine was transformed. Industrial capitalism would soon dominate the globe. The Industrial Revolution brought wealth and innovation, but at a steep human cost. Factory and mine conditions were brutal. Workers were often treated as expendable. Child labor was rampant. Children worked long hours in dangerous jobs for little pay. There was no safety net. Illness or injury meant unemployment and poverty. Urban workers faced insecurity, disease, and exploitation. These hardships sparked the first labor unions fighting for better wages and conditions. The environment suffered too. Pollution choked cities and rivers, and landscapes were scarred by industry. Humanity's impact on the planet began to accelerate. The price of progress was paid by people and the earth itself. The revolution's legacy is both triumph and tragedy. Why does the Industrial Revolution still matter? Because we live in its world. Mass production, global trade, and urban life all began with those first factories and steam engines. Our economic systems, consumer culture, and even the idea of a job are its legacy. The division between industrialized and developing nations traces back to this era. Social issues, inequality, workers' rights, public health emerged then and persist today. The shift to fossil fuels set us on a path to today's climate crisis. The Industrial Revolution is both inspiration and warning. It shows the power of human ingenuity and the consequences of unchecked progress. Our ability to reshape the world comes with responsibility. The story of the Industrial Revolution is still being written.